Good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to Páirc Uí Chaoimh for the first Cork Ladies Football Championship final in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh between Mourneabbey and Eire Og. Of course, Eire Og into a Ladies Football Championship final for the first time after having an extraordinary season. As for Mourneabbey, they've already had 6 out of the last 7, of course, defeating that real humdinger of a game out in CIT when defeated by West Cork. They're looking to claim back their title. They're the defending All-Ireland and Munster champions as well, and we'll have full coverage of the game for you live from 7:45. Dual All-Star Angela Walsh will be joining us on commentary. But before we go through the sides, let's hear from both camps. In a moment we'll be hearing from Mourneabbey manager Shane Ronayne, but firstly let's hear from the Eire Og manager Donald Cronin. Big night for the club tonight in a senior county final under the lights of Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Yeah, massive night. Just where we want to be, I suppose, and they've worked very hard to be here. So yeah, we're ready to give it a shot.
Your form has been quite decent throughout the campaign. I suppose that semi-final over Bright Rovers, was a 3-1 to no score lead at half time, and I suppose minded the house to try and hold out that lead, and you did that successfully, putting on another 2 goals towards the end.
Yeah. I suppose it was a funny game because the conditions were dreadful on the same day, and I think 1 or 2 of our goals earlier on, they were certainly fortunate, but we were in control and we played quite well, but it was closer than what the scoreline did suggest at the same time.
I suppose you're coming to this game as underdogs, but you have some couple of stars among the panel, like the Cleary sisters, who have been quite decent for you this year.
We reckon we've 30 stars, to be honest with you, Patrick. They've all put in a big shift, and we're far from. We have good players. We've players that have played for Cork and Kerry indeed, but we've an even team, I think.
You look psyched up how mentally and how physically fit, ready for tonight.
They couldn't be any better. They're ready to rock and roll.
And any health concerns going into the game?
Not one bit. We're all good to go.
Shane, you're prepared for another big game tonight, and I suppose it's for redemption over last year.
Yeah, look, I suppose that's the biggest factor, I suppose, coming into I suppose the start of the year anyway was to get back into the final and try and make up for last year. But look, I suppose tonight is a separate night. Eire Og are a different team to what we played last year, and we've just had to prepare very well for it. We're happy with our prep. I suppose physically wise, some of our players probably aren't where they need to be, but look, that's through no fault of their own and through no fault of anybody else's. A couple of injuries and knocks, but I think mentally they're very ready. They're very determined, and I think they're going to put in a big performance.
Big win in the semi-final over Kinsale. What was a very, very wet night, but changed that. That was on a 4G pitch. It could be something quite similar to here in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Yeah, look, I suppose it's different to what you're training on at the moment and things like that, the quality of pitch that we will be on tonight. And look, we're hoping that surface will suit us, but I do know that Eire Og are very fit, very fast, so I think a fast pitch will probably suit them as well. It definitely suited Kinsale. It made it maybe a tighter game than it would have maybe in a muckier night, because we've a few more seasoned campaigners that maybe a bit of muck might have been a bit better for them, but I think they're, our crowd are very, very up for it, they're very ready.
You've got a lot of household names in the squad. Any injuries or concerns to be looking forward to?
Yeah, look, Ciara was very doubtful all the week. We're going to chance her. She's prepared to take that chance. Where look, she's old enough at this stage to be making decisions like that herself. But she is. I suppose she is dodgy. But look, we're hoping she'll get through it. Everybody else is fine. We're down Roisin O'Sullivan. She's a head injury, so look, Ciara's going to replace her. So look, Roisin is obviously lost with her experience, but everybody else is fit and raring to go.
And my thanks to Shane Ronayne and Donald Cronin, who we caught up with before the warm-ups out the back of the 4G. And what a historic occasion is the first Cork Senior Ladies Football Championship in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh, live here on the Irish Examiner between Eire Og and Mourneabbey. I'm delighted to say Angela Walsh, former Jewel, great star with Cork back in the noughties and the early teens, joins me for this evening's game. And Angela, thanks very much for joining us. What an occasion this is this evening.
Absolutely massive, Patrick, yeah. And looking down here now in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, it looks absolutely amazing. It's like a carpet. I'd say it'll be a cracking game. And, as you said, a historic day for both teams.
Just to go through what both teams have met so far, their paths to the final from an Eire Og point of view. They had a 4-team group. They defeated St. Val's 12 points to 8, defeating Kinsale 3-13 to 6 points, and defeating Clonakilty 1-15 to 2-2. and that meant they got into a home semi-final where they defeated Bright Rovers 5-2 to no score, and what was absolutely horrendous conditions. Eire Og going to a 3-1 to no score lead at half time and closed the shop down and ended up winning by those 17 points. As for Mourneabbey, not as easy for the champion, or for the former champions, 6 in a row champions I should say. They defeated Fermoy quite handily in the first round, 7-11 to 4 points. Before in Group 2, round 2, finding it quite difficult when defeating Bright Rovers 2-7 to 1-4. They drew then with a Hadda, trained by Cork referee Cathal McAllister, 2-17 to a Hadda's 3-14 before defeating Inch Rovers 4-18 to 2-7. And in the semi-final, well, the match was moved from Mourneabbey, had to be played out in Bishopstown that night, and it was 118 to 110 victory for Mourneabbey. We see in front of us the two referees captains for the evening, I should say. Eva Hickey of Eire Og, Breed O'Sullivan for Mourneabbey, joining former Cork PRO Peter O'Leary. What a superb official and what a servant he has been to Cork ladies football. And you can see Breed O'Sullivan, she's won the toss and they're playing towards the Blackrock end in this opening half. We'll be going through the sides momentarily, but having a look at both sides, they've got through unscathed really.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know Eire Og, they had a very tight group, a lot of their games, were kind of close. As you said though, Mourneabbey, I suppose they started fierce well against Fermoy. And as you said, then after that there was a very close game between Bright Rovers before going down to draw against the Hadda and handing ourselves Inch Rovers a fairly big beating in their final group game before the semi-final.
Both teams will go on parade shortly. Let's take a look at the teams, and we'll start with Eire Og, who go unchanged from the victory over Bright Rovers a couple of weeks ago. And this is their first championship final since their inception as a club of ladies football since 2003. Lisa Crowley and Emer Scally, two names that pop up on the page in front of you that are Cork players that play Cork senior football, as does Maeve Callahan, who is on the bench. Emma Cleary, Aoife Rogers and Laura Cleary, they're all going to have a big say in this game in the full forward line. And one of the big matchups tonight is Jennifer O'Gorman. Who's she going to be picking up inside the Mourneabbey full forward line? As we turn our attentions to Mourneabbey, the 6-time champions and the reigning 2-time All-Ireland champions, still holding on to their title, well, they've got a plethora of stars across the field. You've got Emer Meany, Maura O'Callaghan, Niamh O'Sullivan and Darren O'Sullivan, as well as Breed O'Sullivan, all part of that Cork team. Laura Fitzgerald scoring the winning score in that All-Ireland final in 2019. And watch out for young Ellie Jack there in the wing-back position, and Anna Ryan in the other flank. Two explosive half-back lines and could have a big bearing in this game. So both teams lining out behind the Cork Pipe Band in front of us, and what is a beautiful night for football, and great to see, of course, Ciara O'Sullivan. She's after slotting in there with the one late change instead of Roisin O'Sullivan, and I suppose that's been the big story this week, Ciara in at centre forward.
Yeah, definitely, Patrick, and I'm delighted to see Ciara starting in, and as you said, a historic day here. She really is a massive player for Mourneabbey. And I know she was suffering with a shoulder injury. She had her first game back against us in Rovers and she was absolutely on fire. So it'll be a big boost to Mourneabbey to have her starting tonight.
So just go through, I mentioned about that, Jennifer O'Gorman and Darren O'Sullivan, big match up there. Who's going to be picking up Emer Scally? Is it going to be Emer Meany?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see, because I think Eire Og's main our key forwards are Emer Scally and of course Emma Cleary. And as you mentioned, Laura Cleary as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what Shane Renan has up his sleeve in terms of who's going to pick up who, because and likewise actually, for the Mourneabbey forwards, as you said, they have an array of stars, and Darren O'Sullivan, Breed O'Sullivan, Laura Fitzgerald, and Ciara O'Sullivan now as well, obviously starting. So the matchups will be certainly very interesting, and I suppose we'll be hoping for a good competitive game here tonight.
Great for a club like Eire Og, only 18 years in existence, to get into their first senior final. They've made a long way to get here. Now they're here, look, you're up against one of the greatest football teams of all time, but from their own perspective, a big performance wanted on the night from Donald Cronin's side. Oh,
absolutely, and I feel like they'll have nothing to fear. I know it's their first county final, but it's a 50-50 game as far as anybody's concerned, or as far as they're concerned. And I know from speaking with like even in their group games, they played the likes of St. Val's, and they were extremely fit and willing to work hard for each other. So it will be a very interesting battle for sure. And as you said, a great tribute to them. Their club only 18 years in existence, so fair play to them.
From a Mourneabbey point of view, I suppose they're looking to avenge last year's loss. I know there's been a lot of stories in between that West Cork should have never played that final and etc. But it happened. Mourneabbey lost their title. You know, Shane Ronayne, he's back here looking to do a job on the biggest stage here in ladies football in the country this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. But look, as it goes for divisional sides, I don't think, I suppose people normally only start giving out about divisional sides when they start winning, So fair play to West Cork. They definitely deserved last year. And as you said, I feel because of that loss, I think it will, Mourneabbey just feel maybe that they have a point to prove. As you said, they were 6-time champions and a little blip from last year. So maybe they might come to right the wrongs tonight.
So now we're going to stand as Tracy Cronin, lead singer here in front of us, is going to be singing Eire Og for this big occasion, the first ever ladies football in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Well, what a superb rendition by Tracy Cronin of Eire Og as we look forward to this big final here on the Irish Examiner. Angela, time for predictions.
I suppose it'd be hard to look past Mourneabbey, I think. I suppose having played them ourselves a couple of weeks ago, they were just absolutely hopping and, very difficult to stop. So, as I said, I would be hoping for a competitive game. I think, depending on how Eire Og, I know they're coming into this, they have absolutely nothing to fear. I know they're up for it. So, but I'm still going to go with Mourneabbey.
So as we look at Mourneabbey just going through the final preparations in front of us, both teams going through the final bit of activation warm up. We've got plenty of viewers and listeners around the world, and I suppose there's one that we should mention down in Australia, your pal of yours.
That's right, yeah. I know Breed. I was only chatting to her earlier because they actually with St. Val's played Eire Og earlier in the competition, and she said that they were a real competitive, hard-working side, and that she was anticipating a good close game as well. So definitely shout out to Breed down in Australia, and looking forward to following her in the coming months.
We might touch on that Australian rules maybe a little bit later on with yourself, Angela. I don't think you've played here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, but it would be
no.
It looks unbelievable on this Friday night.
Absolutely amazing. It's definitely one of the things that I'd love to have experienced as a player. With Cork, we were fortunate to be able to train here, but we've never played any game here while I was playing in the heyday.
So, big game to get underway. It's Mourneabbey in the black and gold and Eire Og in the all red and black shorts. Referee for this evening is Castleton native and Inch Rovers man Peter O'Leary, former PRO of the county board here in Cork. Did a fantastic job before retiring from the position earlier this year. Big occasion live here on the Irish Examiner, and a big weekend of football as we have two men's semi-finals down for decision on Sunday. We'll tell you more about that later on. The 2021 Senior Ladies Football Championship final, when the ball is in the hands of the referee. There's a double marking going on inside, but we're underway. And I think in fact that was start formation was illegal because Eire Og started at 7 versus 6, but a chance here for Mourneabbey early. Breed O'Sullivan working outside to Ciara, her first reaction, see how she going to get on. Well, she gets a shot away, lands in short to the hands of Lisa Crowley, and that gives a chance for Isabel Sheehan and their defence to try and clean out. Here's Maeve Cahalane, the dual Cork star, sister of course of the Cahalane brothers, who will be in action here on Sunday afternoon with Castlehaven. They take on the Bars. Ball Walked outside the 45 metre line. It's Eva Nicavard. Outside to the captain, Eva Hickey. Looks past him, Hickey, but the referee says it's a foul.
Yeah, no advantage.
Tug.
Opening start, very fast-paced game. Both teams are clearly up for the challenge ahead.
Side McGoldrick in possession now. To Emma Cleary. Looking for a runner outside, but Cleary happy enough to keep possession. Inside to Eva Nicavard. Ball worked inside. As teams just trying to settle themselves down, trying to poke each other out. Cleary to Nicavard, over towards Shauna Cronin. Switching the play over towards the far side of the field now. Aisling O'Connell. As Eire Og knows what Mourneabbey playing quite defensive. 12 players behind the ball. Laura Cleary, who scored 2 goals in that semi-final win over Bride Rovers a fortnight ago. Inside to Elaine Crowley. Crowley just getting outside to Emer Scally, being double marked and being shovelled back outside to the 45. Scally looking to try and take this on. Time and possession of the essence. Looking for runners outside. Not too many options, so she holds on to possession, being closely marshalled there by the referee. Well, the referee pins her for over-carrying the ball. Poor opportunity not utilised.
Absolutely. And Eire Og, they're looking very comfortable on the ball. Emer Scally won a great ball there out in front of 2 markers, as you mentioned. But, unfortunately, there was nobody running and looking for the support play. So we're on down here with a Mourneabbey attack now.
And Breed O'Sullivan, it is with possession. Gone inside the 45 metre line. Low ball inside towards the full forward line. A chance for Laura Fitzgerald to try and take an early shot going in. But that's going to be the opening wide of the game after 2.5 minutes gone the clock.
Yes, yeah. I suppose she kind of just snapped at that there now and didn't settle herself enough. But in fairness to the full back, she put her under enough pressure to put the shot out wide.
So Lisa Crowley with the kick out down towards this near sideline, and Eire Og have numbers in front of us here. Claude O'Connor just turning her back on Eva Nicavard. Finds the wing forward now. Ball popped it down inside to Laura Cleary. Cleary just held up the tackle there by Anna Ryan. Ryan fighting for possession. There's a tussle for it. Referee's going to stop it and say hot ball.
Yeah. I suppose just more Eire Og there. It's very hard for them to penetrate the Mourneabbey defence because there's so many back there, and they're kind of finding it hard to get through.
Advantage coming here for Maura O'Callaghan. She wins the free inside her own 45 metre line. Both teams looking for an early score in the early stages of this final. Ball walked over towards that far side of the field. Breed O'Sullivan. Here is Breed O'Sullivan, I should say. Ball walked back outside. Numbers tricky enough to see, as slipping there was Emma Coakley. Back outside. And a chance now for Darren O'Sullivan. There was a slide and tackle inside there. A dangerous play.
Yes, yeah. Definitely Darren looks like she's after hurting herself there now. And it'll be interesting to see what Peter O'Leary does here. I think it's the full back. Is he having a word? He's having a think about it.
Should be talking. I think he's got some problems with the microphones, because he's got the microphone in his hand, and no doubt he's after stopping the clock. He just needs some mechanical difficulties. Darren O'Sullivan, just take your time as we see the replay, Angela.
Oh yeah,
accidental.
Well, actually, it was accidental. Yeah, Darren, I think, just rolled her ankle there as she was trying to get through.
Referee now speaking to Jennifer O'Gorman, I should say, and free going to be inside the 45, free, yeah. Inside the 45 metre line. So it's a chance now for Mourneabbey to try and get the opening score of this final. And if there is any bit of a win, well, we're up in level 3, but it doesn't seem to be much down on the field, but it looks to be going from left to right as you see it on your screen, as Darren O'Sullivan gets the opening score of the game, and Mourneabbey are up and running in the 5th minute.
Yeah, very good, well taken free by Darren there.
So Darren O'Sullivan with the opening score of the game as the kick-out goes short from Lisa Crowley. On to Eva Hickey. Hickey, well, there was a bit of a high tackle on Hickey on that occasion. Takes the free quickly and works it to Claude O'Connor. As Eire Og now just looking to try and get themselves on the score sheet for the first time this evening. Here is one of the Clearys. It's Laura Cleary going up this near byline. Sees a free runner inside. That's Claude O'Connor walking across the 45 metre line. Inside to Emma Cleary. Walks it down short to the corner. Side there, Aoife Nicavard. Walking it back outside out to space. Mourneabbey playing 11 behind the ball, and now Eire Og bringing forward. Big run here from Sive McGoldrick going through the heart of this defence. Thought was a runner inside. McGoldrick got taken out of it though late.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be a free.
Yeah, well spotted there by Peter O'Leary. You know, as she was trying to offload the ball, I think she was just tackled a little bit late on. So this will be Eire Og's first chance now for a score. And I think it's Emer Scally coming out to take it.
So Scally scored 2 goals in that final against Bride Rovers.
Oh yeah,
chance.
Scally's a fantastic player, and you know, even from place balls and that. So you know, surely she will. We're just looking at the replay here. Actually, as you can see, I think it was Bríd O'Sullivan had the hands up for a late charge.
So there's a chance now for Emer Scally, player who was injured at the start of the year, but eked her way into the Cork team towards the end. It's going on short. There's a player inside the square. Play continues on. Referee allowing it to continue on. There's a real scuffle for possession, and the referee, well, the question is, what is he going to do here? I think he's going to stop the clock, and stop the watch, I should say, on his hand.
Have a word with the umpires, I think.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It's a potential penalty, could it be?
Laura Cleary came in from a side angle, and the question is, and he's going for a penalty.
Yeah.
Well, big decision here from the inch rovers man, and he says the ball was touched inside in the square. Let's have a look at the replay, Angela.
I think possibly it was a player that touched it on the ground, Lisa. Okay, 1 second.
So Cleary is inside there.
Oh, yeah.
And the Mourneabbey player is inside there, and she's on her knees and picks it off the knees, so it's a technical foul. And of course, all fouls inside the small square result in a penalty. So, big decision. Looks like a correct one from our official.
This is exciting now. I think if Eire Og, you know, can get this score on the board, it'll be very important for them. But Maeve O'Sullivan is a fantastic keeper, to be fair to her.
Maeve O'Sullivan against Emer Scally. Scally stepping into this, straight down, but goes underneath the leg of Maeve O'Sullivan, and the early strike going the way of Eire Og.
Brilliant, absolutely well taken goal. You know, a low ball, that's the winner in ladies football. They're hard to reach, they're hard for Maeve, any keeper to stop, really.
So an early penalty goal scored in the 8th minute of the game, and Eire Og looking to try and take on this game. But Mourneabbey defensively, as we know, they've always been strong, and they got a score in the last 40 seconds of an All-Ireland final 2 years ago to win the game against Kilkerran-Clonberne, that famous night up in the Gaelic grounds. They've always got character, but here come Eire Og once again. Claude O'Connor playing inside to Aisling O'Connell, out this side the space to Laura Cleary. Here comes Scally scampering down the outside and beats the defender. And you can hear the cheers and the roars from the Eire Og faithful underneath us as she plays the ball down into the corner. An opportunity inside here. Looks like for Aisling O'Connell once again. Made a long darting run inside to Emma Cleary, looking to try and take on 2 or 3 defenders bottled up, and a free out for overcarrying ball. Yeah,
I know, she was just unlucky there. She ran into a bit of a brick wall with 3 more Mourneabbey players around her, but ball earlier just at the start of that attack, Emer Scally won a fierce well out in front of Aisling.
So Maura O'Callaghan now looking to try and settle things back down. Looks like a reasonably new position for Maura, playing centre back. Long ball from Emma Coakley, just flicked forward by Ellie Jack, and she's got real pace, has the wing back. Turns back outside looking for Aisling Cronin. Mourneabbey now just setting themselves back in. Niamh O'Sullivan, long ball, looking for Darren O'Sullivan inside the edge of the square. Touchdown there though by, looks like Jennifer O'Gorman, and looking to try and break away. In fact, it's Isabel Sheehan who seems to be marking Darren O'Sullivan. She's done very, very well, and gets Elaine Crowley to pass that ball over outside, over towards that far side of the field as they break away. That's Maeve Cahalane. Cahalane just popping the ball back inside to Shauna Cronin. Here is Cronin, in fact. That was Cleary offloading that possession. And Cronin now going through the centre of the park. What a great start for a team in their first ever final, winning a penalty and scoring quite consecutively as well. There's Aisling O'Connell now in possession. Gone past the 10-minute mark in this opening half of the 2021 Cork Senior A Ladies Football Final. The lady beside me will be in Senior B final action tomorrow when Inch Rovers take on St. Val's down in CIT. That kick was a bit of a loose one though, and that gives an opportunity for Mourneabbey to try and break away. And here's their captain, Breed O'Sullivan. Scored a great goal against Waterford in the league earlier in the season. Had a major factor in Cork's campaign. And she's got on a 60-70 yard run. What a run by Breed O'Sullivan. Played it outside to Laura Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald just couldn't convert the score. What a run by Breed O'Sullivan.
That was a fantastic run by Breed O'Sullivan. You know, there was no stopping her. Eire Og seemed to be sticking with their players there, and they left Breed run straight through the centre. And again, just, I suppose, uncharacteristic of Laura Fitzgerald to hit that one wide again.
So, referee just speaking to players, do not talk to me during the game. I will control this. And both an Eire Og and it looked like Aisling Cronin of Mourneabbey and Claude O'Connor of Eire Og being spoken to as the kick out from Lisa Crowley. Plays it outside to Elaine Crowley and Maeve Cahalane, getting herself into possession as Eire Og now looking to try and take the game on early here to the former champions of Cork, the 6-in-a-row champions. Going through the art of defence of McGoldrick, and she's been unscathed so far. Across the 45, not the greatest of passes, but doing very well. Neat footwork by Emma Cleary. Pops that ball outside to Laura Cleary. Two sisters in action. Outside of the foot, and real precision from Cleary to find Claude O'Connor, and plays it back outside to Eva Nicavard. Outside to Sive McGoldrick. Early stages of this final. Both teams just trying to find each other out as getting in possession. Elaine Crowley. Nicavard playing across. Looking for McGoldrick. Just popping that ball back outside and looking to try and play it back into space as Mourneabbey defending with 11 players. Eire Og just attacking with the 10. Eva Nicavard now going through, was being carried and hassled. Loose pass. Found Emer Scally though, who fought very valiantly to gain that possession. Plays it back outside to Laura Cleary. Finding Nicavard in space inside in the corner. No Eire Og player inside the 20 metre line. Playing it all between the 45 and the 20. Just fooling around and finding holes in this Mourneabbey defence, but the house is quite strong so far.
Absolutely. You know, Eire Og have plenty of possession, but they just seem to can't get through that Mourneabbey wall. They keep turning around, coming back out. I think they need to kind of attack a little bit more now and start running, you know, off the shoulder and try and get in and get a score, because I suppose the way they are at the moment, you know, all the ball isn't in a scoring position.
Well, a lady who might take this game on here is Maeve Cahalane. She's gone down by the byline, plays the ball inside towards Aisling O'Connell. O'Connell under pressure, but swarmed out of it there from a Mourneabbey point of view, and they're going to break away through Breed O'Sullivan.
Yeah, definitely. That was a better attack there now by Maeve Cahalane, you know, and looked a bit more dangerous when they were in close to the goal. Oh,
referee's pinning Breed O'Sullivan for over carrying the ball. Free over on that far side of the field.
I think it's important now for the next, you know, whichever team get the score and need to settle down a little bit. I think Mourneabbey, with nearly 14 minutes on the clock, will be a little bit disappointed with only 1 point on the board. And Eire Og definitely finding the score it's hard to come by as well.
Scally taking this free, looking for the 1-on-1 situation inside. It's on inside if he can get it, but the defender doing really well. Catherine Coakley it is. Plays her Camogie down in Waterford with Tala. A real stalwart with this team. Outside to Emma Coakley. And Coakley looking to try and walk away back outside. As Mourneabbey running forward. Here's Darren O'Sullivan, the secondary school teacher, the PE teacher. Breaking up to the de-exclusion zone. Advantage accrued. Well, now, says the referee. Into Laura Fitzgerald, looking to try and break on the defence. She's gone inside the parallelogram. Oh, what a finish!
Goal.
What a finish from Laura Fitzgerald!
That was a fantastic goal, well taken by Laura Fitzgerald. And as you said, you know, Peter O'Leary had the hand up there for advantages. There was a tug on the jersey early on, but Laura did fierce well there to step inside, you know, and there was 3 or 4 defenders, and well taken goal. That's
a big score as the water break has just been called by Peter O'Leary. Wow, this game has just opened up all of a sudden, and Mourneabbey leading at the water break, 1-1 to a goal. Might get an opportunity to have a look at the 2 goals in the opening quarter, but that penalty decision, quite a big one, but it looks like on the replay looks like the right decision.
I think so, Patrick, yeah. And Eire Og, you know, I suppose like they're not creating too much else from the play at the moment, and I think they need to just start really running at the Mourneabbey defence. Mourneabbey did very well there now to get that goal, and you know the momentum might have just swung in their favour just at the right time there before the water break.
But that goal starting, I suppose, in the half-back line, Anna Ryan it was who was defending. Sorry, not Catherine Coakley, we'll name check the right player. Anna Ryan it was who started off defensively, finding Emma Coakley and working through the lines. Breed O'Sullivan finding Laura Fitzgerald inside.
Yeah,
Darren should say finding Laura inside.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and that was a fantastic piece of defending there by Anna Ryan, as it was becoming kind of a one-on-one situation, you know. So fair play to them. They worked that down the field very, very quickly, and you know, made sure they capitalised on it.
So the team's getting themselves back on the position. I suppose from a Shane Ronayne point of view, you know, he's been in charge of this team for a long time. I know he's got the big step up. He was in charge of Tipperary ladies footballers 2 years ago, the Waterford men's last year. Now he's got the Cork women's this year, and he started trials, from what I understand, in the past week to get his new squad up and running.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing now what kind of a spin Shane puts on the Cork senior ladies. You know, as you said, his CV speaks volumes. He's had success, you know, even in school setup as well. And, you know, he is a great coach. So I've no doubt that he will, you know, just give it his best shot for Cork ladies football. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Here's the kick out from Lisa Crowley as we restart play over towards that far side of the field. Been knocked out over the line there by a Mourneabbey player. Chance for Eire Og to try and set up attack over that far side. Played short by Nick Avard inside in towards Shauna Cronin. Hooking up ball inside and back outside to Nick Avard once again. Across the park to Aisling O'Connell. Finding space in front of her now. She's being met here by the cornerback Aisling O'Sullivan. Turns back inside. Now she comes towards Coakley. Coakley will hold it up. Finds the runner inside. To Chloe O'Connor. O'Connor going up towards the 30-metre line. Outside to Emer Scally. And Scally does what she does best and converts the score.
That's much more like Eire Og now. You know, they ran at the Mourneabbey defence. I think that's going to be the key if they are to overturn Mourneabbey here tonight, because, you know, a lot of the ball they've been playing over and back across the field, they definitely need to take it on like that, and that was a fantastic and well taken score. Emer Scally really settled herself before she took the shot.
The referee's going to stop the watch for an injury once again. This time it's Aisling O'Sullivan who's going to be receiving attention. Just both teams, like last year's final, what, Eire Og or West Cork and Mourneabbey had 4 goals scored by the water break.
That's right.
This game is just a little more nervous. Both teams really trying to find each other out.
I agree, yeah. And do you know what? There's a sense of nervousness, I think, about the players as well, you know, just trying to find their feet and get into the game as well. And like, that can't be helped. It's a county final at the end of the day as well.
And I suppose, Angela, you're training in, you know, wet conditions. We heard Shane Ronayne mentioning it earlier on in a pre-match interview. Wet conditions, muddy conditions, and you come out to a place which is something quite similar to a 4G field.
Absolutely, like, yeah. And they've been very lucky as well at the night. You know, it's a lovely dry night. It's a perfect, ideal conditions really for football. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot better than what could be with the rain and the muck and the wind and everything.
Kick out short to Coakley. She's been fouled by Scally as an advantage being played by our man in the middle, O'Leary. Advantage accrues after the ball up from Emma Coakley, long to Darren O'Sullivan now. She's been closely marshalled by Sheehan, but O'Sullivan just turns back inside on the right, and real skillful player Darren O'Sullivan landing inside, well stopped underneath the crossbar by Lisa Crowley. And a chance now for Eire Og to try and work out the fence through Ava Hickey inside to Elaine Crowley. But Darren O'Sullivan, I suppose, look, she's been missing a lot of the Cork year, but she's a crucial part and crucial integral part of this team as the ball's turned over to Mourneabbey.
Oh, absolutely massive. Like, Darren is a huge key player for Mourneabbey, and she's so comfortable and so strong on the ball. She's been picked up there by Isabel Sheehan. I believe she's quite young. I know she's I believe a dual player as well, Cork football and camogie. And to be fair now, she is marshalling her very well at the moment. But here comes Darren.
She's just lost her on this occasion because Darren O'Sullivan ran on a loop around outside of the Eire Og crowd. Into the middle of them she went, and she stuck the ball inside that far upright.
Yeah, great score there now again, and very well taken, as you can see here on the replay. She's running around the loop here, and yeah, like 5 and 6 Mourneabbey or Eire Og players around possibly should have done a little bit better to try and block her. Mourneabbey will be very happy with that for another point on the board.
So we're in the 19th minute of this county final. Of course, there will be time added on at the end of the half due to injuries. It's all at the discretion of our referee. Unfortunately, I don't think we have a hooter here this evening, so it's just normal ladies football rules. Sive McGoldrick now with winning the free inside her own half the field. Free goes short.
Eire Og are finding it hard, I think, to get the players free because they're being so well marked by the Mourneabbey defence. But here is Laura Cleary on the attack.
And she gets around Ashley O'Sullivan here on a sixpence, going around inside under pressure, looking to try and poke a ball. You could see what she was trying to do to try and find Emer Scally, who's been closely marshalled by Emer Meany inside.
Definitely, yeah. And it was a good idea. And, if she just had to put it on the other side, maybe Emer Scally could have got to it.
Mourneabbey fighting very hard, and this ball long from Niamh O'Sullivan. Down in front of us here, Ellie Jack, who's taking a forward position here tonight, wearing number 7. Walking inside to Darren O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan's already got 1-1 to her name. 2 points to her name, I should say, already this evening. 1 from free, 1 from play. Outside to Laura Fitzgerald. Shot going in, but good pressure here from Eire Og, going right and wide.
Yeah, I think Laura Fitzgerald will be a bit disappointed with that now. That's her 3rd wide of the night. But as you said, the game is flowing fast. Ellie Jack is a fantastic footballer. I believe, again, she's quite young, but, a very important player for Mourneabbey.
Good run there from Elaine Crowley, just to allow that space in behind her for Lisa Crowley to try and find Aoife Nicavard. Nicavard riding 2 tackles there quite efficiently and plays the ball inside to Shauna Cronin. Sive McGoldrick. Shauna Cronin back out to McGoldrick on the loop there on that occasion was Emma Cleary. Here is the aforementioned Cleary once again, looking to try and keep it open, but not too much happening in front of her. Good tackle there on that occasion. And that's turned over the ball. Good tackle by Bríd O'Sullivan.
Yeah, very good tackle. She timed it just right there to get and dispossess Elaine Crowley off the ball. But Eire Og again have gone back to across over and back the field. As I said, I think they need to be running straight and trying to run at the Mourneabbey defence. This is a free in, I believe, is it?
Yeah, it's going to be back. There was an advantage. Didn't accrue. Ciara O'Sullivan was the one being fouled, and she's going to take the free herself. Doesn't look like having too much of an injury. She looks okay so far in the opening 21 and a half minutes.
She does, yeah. Here comes Darren now again.
Darren walking inside the exclusion zone. Going in short. It's going all the way. Is that gone inside the post? It is. It's going for a white flag.
Yeah, absolutely. They're finding it very hard to deal, I think, with Darren because of her strength and obviously then her accuracy as well with the kick. As you can see her here in the replay, she just shrugs off Isabel Sheehan there as she's attacking and just crept right over. I think lucky it might, it could have got underneath the crossbar quite easily too.
Lisa Crowley now taking this kick out. But it's the 2 players of Mourneabbey who won it against the 3 of Eire Og and finding space inside. Darren O'Sullivan popping inside to Laura Fitzgerald. Walked outside. Cross outside to Niamh O'Sullivan. Back outside to Laura Fitzgerald. Turns back on the right. Where's this one going? Well, if you make the mistakes defensively like that, you're allowing teams like Mourneabbey to pressurise you.
Definitely, yeah. And look, Mourneabbey are doing what they do best. They're definitely pressurising the kick out. Eire Og are finding it very hard to get it out there. But I feel they probably should have done a little bit better on that kick out and kind of left Mourneabbey too loose for Laura Fitzgerald to kick over her first point.
Kick out this time from Lisa Crowley. She got a warning there from her official that not to cross the 20-metre line. Didn't do it on that occasion, and Nicavard evading forward but just left the ball behind her. But the referee says there was a tug of the hand.
So she was holding, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think, Aoife Nicavard there got away. She kind of did lose possession, but Peter O'Leary spotted a tug of the hand, as we said.
Here's Emer Scally now. Always got great pace up against Emer Meany. I'm sure they've often faced each other in Cork training. Darren O'Sullivan back there trying to give her a hand, trying to keep her outside. Ball working across the 45, but that gave an opportunity. Looks like Anna Ryan it is on this occasion. In fact, it's Maura Callan it was who intercepted that one. It's Ciara O'Sullivan now breaking forward inside the Eire Og half of the field, and she evades the first tackle of Aoife Nicavard. Walks the ball across the 45. Advantage coming. Emer Harrington Working across outside towards Breed O'Sullivan. Turns back on the trusty left boot. And that ball going to the right-hand side and wide. The advantage is gone. Going right and wide.
Yes, yeah, unlucky there for Breed. But Mourneabbey there just worked it so quickly through the hands. It was very difficult for Eire Og to try and defend that. And yeah, I mean, you know, they'll be disappointed that they didn't capitalise definitely on that. And they seem to be kind of have the upper hand at the moment, I think, on Eire Og.
Short kick out on this occasion. Down towards Sean Cronin, who was fouled with a hand on the back there on that occasion by Laura Fitzgerald. So it's going to be a free out, and Cronin elects to go back to her keeper, Lisa Crowley. Bit of injury time to play at the end of the opening regulation 30. Ball walked over towards that far side to Aoife Rogers. Her name is Scally, of course, sister of Emer. Working up through the centre now, Shauna Cronin. She's been fouled into the centre of the park by the Mourneabbey captain, Breed O'Sullivan.
Yeah, Eire Og were on a run there. I think that's actually Aisling, is it? The other midfielder. But yeah, they definitely need to kind of get a score now to try and get a bit of a momentum going for the remaining few minutes of this half.
Referee just telling Donald Cronin to get off the field. Peter O'Leary just trying to control the game, telling players to keep quiet. He'll ref letting you play the game. Free goes short to Aoife Nicavard. Aisling O'Connell was the girl who was fouled on that occasion, who win that free. Ball worked inside, but the sweeper, just from a Mourneabbey point of view, starting to work, and Catherine Crowley fouled there by Emer Scally.
Yes, yeah, I can see what Eire Og are trying to do. You know, they're trying to pinpoint the ball in there to Emer Scally, but it's going to be very hard to penetrate the extra defenders with Mourneabbey, and they're well tuned and they know what Eire Og are doing. You know,
long ball here from Niamh O'Sullivan inside. And here's Ellie Jack now inside the 13-metre line. Dangerous player going for the shot. That's a great score from a Mourneabbey point of view.
Absolutely fantastic score, you know, and they'll be very happy with that, you know, after overturning the Eire Og attack on the other side of the field. And as we mentioned earlier, Ellie Jack is definitely a player to watch out for. So comfortable on the ball and beautiful kick with her left leg.
Mourneabbey extending the lead out to 4 points now. Possession, well, fight for it, but it is Aoife Nicavard. Advantage coming, nothing accruing though. Great free won there by Aoife Nicavard.
Yeah, she had to work really, really hard to get that ball out there, and unfortunately I think there was another Eire Og shirt running, but she was lucky to get the advantage there now.
Just at the bottom of the shot, the battle between the two Emers, Meany and Scally. That's going to be a crucial one. Meany going to be taking a lot of blades of grass for the evening as Scally takes her around the field.
Definitely, and as you can see actually here, I don't know if you can see them just on the screen there, Emer Scally's after coming way out the field here to try and win a possession and try and get another score on the board for Eire Og.
Possession over on the far side of the field to the dual star Maeve Cahalan. Outside to Isobel Sheehan. There was a runner inside, but Sheehan elected to turn back inside. Trying to get a hand at it there was Anna Ryan. Ball walked outside towards Laura Cleary. Cleary in possession, working across the face of the goal. Finding possession there on this occasion, Shauna Cronin. As Eire Og now just playing it around and finding holes, but Scally is inside on her own, and even Nicavard is going to have to work hard, turning left, right, back inside and the right again. Big tackle in there from big Maura O'Callaghan. And Maura O'Callaghan, well, just at the last moment, done everything right and then pushed the player off the ball. And that foul on Aoife Nicavard gives a chance for Scally.
It does, yeah. It's a scoring position for Scally, definitely. And I'd like to see the replay of that now again, just to see, because I think Mourneabbey had kind of overturned the ball. Here we go now. So you can see Aoife Nicavard working extremely hard, turning left and right, and she goes across. As you can see, Maura did dispossess her there, and then a push after. You know, I suppose there was no need for that really, as I think she possibly could have won possession.
Peter O'Leary, a very experienced official in both the men's and women's game, has covered all finals in the women's football in Cork County. Every final in his CV. What a resume the man from Castletown Bear has, as Emer Scally, about 30 yards out, being faced up by Meany. The two Emers. Scally, who's looking to try and get another score on the board. And she's got all 1-2 for Eire Og in the opening half.
Yeah, she's split the post there now. Fantastic, well taken free. And it'll definitely, it brings Eire Og, obviously there's only 3 points in it, so that was a fantastic, well taken score by Emer. Great skillful player in fairness to her. Peter's telling him to get outside the D there, I think, for the kick out.
I think he's also trying to tell the keeper that you can't be kicking from outside the 20-metre line, and both keepers have been guilty of that tonight.
That's right, I know, sure. I suppose every couple of metres will help your case, so it's worth a shot, I suppose.
Look how deep Aisling Cronin was there to get possession. Played outside. Here is Emer Meany now.
Yeah, the bulk of the players definitely here in the middle third of the field, just looking down at it,
Emer Arrington working across to Ciara O'Sullivan, should say. And Ciara just pops that ball outside to Emma Coakley. Back to Ciara O'Sullivan. Much of the story was around the Mourneabbey player during the week. Was she going to play in the final? Well, as Shane Ronayne told us before the game, they were willing to take a chance on her, and she's had a big influence as she pops that ball outside to Laura Fitzgerald. There's a run being made inside. What an interception that is inside. Brilliant from the Eire Og defence.
That was an absolute vital, literally a finger on the ball there now, because otherwise it was probably going to be a score. So well done to that player. I think that was Aoife Nicavard. She's working extremely hard, to be fair to her.
Balls were over on that far side of the field now as Eire Og looking to try and go front on, but you can see the two Eire Og players, they were just so far inside, all the space was covered by the Mourneabbey defence.
Yeah, I think Eire Og now, they've been kind of those 3 or 4 balls kicked in, and it's not working, so maybe back to the drawing board there, or kick it in a different direction, because Mourneabbey are snuffing it out very, very easily.
Free quickly taken inside, and there's a foul there by Clodagh O'Connor, advantage not accruing, and Clodagh O'Connor should be going to the notebook of our referee Peter O'Leary once again. That book hasn't really left his left hand so far in this first half.
No.
So chance now for Darren O'Sullivan. In fact, we might be told what the additional time might be, and it's going to be 3 minutes additional time. So at least we've got that information. Well done to our officials this evening. Ball work short. Emma Coakley down that far sideline. Emer Meany bottled up, works the ball outside to Laura Fitzgerald off the left peg. Fitzgerald going in. Well, the wide won't count because there was an advantage coming. A foul inside, and it's going to be a free in for Mourneabbey.
Yes, yeah, another scoring opportunity here now for Mourneabbey, but you see Emer Meany and Emer Scally, they're after coming so far out the field, they're literally down the other side of the field now. I think Emer Scally feels a bit starved of possession in the full forward line, so she's coming out trying to win the ball for Eire Og to try and create chances.
So it's a chance now for Darren O'Sullivan. 3 points to her name already has the Mourneabbey full forward, looking to make her second point from free, and she does that and extends the lead back out to 4 points. So not too long left on the stopwatch of our official. Shauna Cronin, who committed that last foul, plays it back to Lisa Crowley. Crowley under pressure, but from the outside of the boot. Plays it outside with the swarming Mourneabbey defence, trying to cut out Aisling O'Connell. Back here is Sive McGoldrick. There's a push in the back there, no advantage as a referee. It'll be a free out for Eire Og.
Eire Og are finding it very difficult to get the ball out of their defence at the moment. I'm kind of nervous watching it because, just the options are very limited for Lisa's kick out. And, they're bringing the ball back into the danger area then as well. So, I think it's important for Eire Og to kind of keep it out wide and keep the ball away from Mourneabbey's danger area, definitely, if they want to avoid Mourneabbey getting another score.
Referee is bringing the free forward for an incident that happened off the ball, or maybe some dissent. So into the final stages of this opening half. Free taken short. Can Eire Og possibly get one more score, but not if Mourneabbey have a say in it, and that includes Darren O'Sullivan with a crucial tackle in the middle of the field. Referee's going to stop play, and there's a player down in the middle of the field. Darren O'Sullivan got a bit of an injury as well, just behind Peter's back, and he never saw.
Yeah, I think he just missed that there as he was focusing. I think on number 5 is that Maeve Cahalane, that just went down. I mean, I think Eire Og, they're kind of engaging in the tackle there with Mourneabbey in the middle of the field, and they're finding it very hard to break out. As you can see, the amount of players there on the screen.
Middle third of the field is really congested.
Absolutely, so congested.
Yeah, Maeve Callahan just picking up an injury there when fighting for possession with Darren O'Sullivan. And you mentioned the strength and stature of Darren O'Sullivan. She's a big player in the field.
She's Jeannie.
Just behind.
Laura Cleary just got away with the bear hug on Darren there, I think.
Well, it's Laura Cleary, because our referee spoke to one of his linesmen and he has warned Cleary now. And the referee, it looks like he's going to resume with a free for Mourneabbey.
I think it's because they were in possession of the ball there, they get to take the free.
Absolutely.
And
Ciara O'Sullivan should say. Roisin O'Sullivan hasn't started this game. And Ciara O'Sullivan, well, someone knows going to get
this is
pinned.
another free, and I think now. And lads, looking down now, there's literally every player bar one on the right hand side of the field. It's absolutely, there's 28 players in the Eire Og half. It's phenomenal.
And that's the kind of press that Mourneabbey can apply. We've seen it do it in the last few All-Ireland finals that they've played in. You can hear Lisa Crowley trying to tell her Eire Og defenders, push out the field, close them out, but the runners are still coming forward with Catherine Coakley walking aside, and she's been pinned for over-carrying the ball, and the referee says, I've had enough. And that is going to be the half-time here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
And it looks like actually Catherine Coakley is after hurting herself there. As you can see, she's holding either her hand or her chest. Did she get hurt there in just that final tackle?
1-6 to 1-2 here at half time, as the referee is now warning player in the field, Aoife Hickey. And I suppose this is the one thing different from the other three codes, is that the referees take notes, and if you persist in fouling, you'll be sent to the bin for 10 minutes.
That's it, exactly, yeah. And people will want to be very careful now, because there is a few that he probably has in the book. Yeah, Catherine Coakley is definitely hurt there. She's coming off. Maybe, I think she got a bang into the chest as she was running through. But as you mentioned there, Patrick, I think players would want to be very careful here that they don't get sin binned, because if any team is down to 14 players, it's a big disadvantage for 10 minutes.
Sure is indeed. So it's the champions of 2014 to 2019 who lead at half time here against the finalist debutants, 1-6 to 1-2. And let's have a look at the two majors of that opening half. We're going to start out with the penalty that Eire Og won in the 7th minute, and which was conversed by Emer Scally. We'll get that up for you in a moment, but had a big bearing so early in the game, and that put Eire Og into the driving seat so early. I suppose it was a great spot by the two umpires and the referee to consult and see what the foul was, and it looks like they've come to the right decision. Yeah,
no, I definitely agree. It was a penalty, and to be fair to Emer Scally, she converted it very well. And as you said, it put them in the driving seat initially, but hats off to Mourneabbey. They have replied, they have come back into it. They do have the momentum, I think, at the moment, and as the scoreboard suggests, they are 4 points up. It's not a lot, obviously, in a ladies football game. It could swing either way, but at the moment, I think Eire Og, they have had quite a lot of possession, but they just haven't been getting into scoring positions in order to capitalise. And probably that led to their downfall, in the sense that I know the game has been slow and a bit scrappy, but teams find each other out. But the run from, I suppose, the goal from Laura Fitzgerald, really well finished, really well taken. Oh, excellently well taken. As she stepped inside, I think it was 3, if not 4, of the Eire Og players, on her left boot. And I suppose coming from that, she, as you can see here on the screen, she took it so well. She just, unfortunately, number 4 was just a little bit flat-footed there, and she got turned for Laura to hit it low beyond Lisa. A well taken goal, absolutely brilliant. Isabel Sheehan was the player who got turned on that occasion. Of course, Darren O'Sullivan, 4 points to her name. Laura Fitzgerald with 1-1, and Ellie Jack with a superb point down by the byline as well. For a young player, 19, 20 years old, she's having a quite decent game up in the half-hour line. Yeah, no, Ellie Jack is definitely a player, I think, to look out for in the future. She's really comfortable on the ball, and as you said, I think it's been the score of the game, but I do feel Eire Og are finding it very hard to deal with Darren O'Sullivan, and she's having a huge impact in the game. She seems to be on a lot of the attacking, either assisting or scoring herself, as you mentioned. She's up to 3 points, I think, now. So definitely I think they might have to look at that for the second half. Yeah, 4 points, 2 from frees, 2 from play. I suppose that full back line there from Eire Og's point of view, Ava Hickey, Jennifer O'Gorman, Isabel Sheehan, barring the goal, they're doing reasonably well, but they've a bit more work to do. They are doing reasonably well, to be fair to them. But it's a hard task. Like, I mean, the Mourneabbey forwards are so brilliant. Like, I mean, Darren, Laura, they are very hard to stop. And, as you said, I think Jennifer O'Gorman, she's gone a little bit quiet now in the last couple of minutes. I'd like to see her come more into it. Same with Ada Hickey and Isabel Sheehan.
But then Bríd O'Sullivan playing so defensively, working really hard. And Darren coming back to midfield, it's causing a problem for Eire Og. They're not where they were winning the middle third early in the game. They haven't won it in that second quarter.
I agree. I'd like to see more out of Shauna Cronin and Ashley O'Connor, I think, because Emma Coakley and Eva O'Sullivan are winning the midfield battle at the moment, and they're setting Mourneabbey up for all their attacks and scores, and Eire Og are finding it hard to deal with that. So definitely I'd like a bit more out of the Eire Og players, just step up a little bit more. Maybe it's the nerves of the occasion, like that might have an impact on them, but they've only 30 minutes now to get the better Mourneabbey and they need to step it up if they're to do that.
We need to mention about your own final tomorrow, the B final, Inch Rovers and St. Val's, an entertaining final last year. Yourself and Bríd Stack marking each other and trawling battle throughout, but obviously Stacky's gone to Sydney for the upcoming AFLW 6.0 season, so I presume you're coming as favourites tomorrow into the game, but as everyone says, every final takes a life of their own.
I don't know about that now, being favourites, to be honest, because I feel like St. Val's and ourselves, we've had titanic battles over the last number of years, and as you mentioned, we did meet in last year's final, and thankfully we got the better of them that day, but I've no doubt they're going to come all guns blazing tomorrow, so we'll be ready.
We mentioned about Stacky, and we spoke about this before we came on air. If you were 10 years younger, would you go to Australia like some of the girls that are going out now?
Oh, it'd be a fantastic experience, yeah. But as you said, Patrick, 10 years or more younger, I would have to consider it, yeah. But look, do you know what? That ship has sailed now, and I'm delighted that Bríd is over there representing. As I said to you, I'm actually surprised there's not more from Cork, because there are so many in Cork that would be able. Our own Annie Walsh actually has been playing AFL, and she's been doing so well. She was on the Irish team there recently in the last couple of weekends, actually.
Playing in the European Cup, I think it was.
Exactly, yeah. So you never know. Maybe Annie might make the trip next year.
It'll be interesting, indeed. And look, from Bríd's point of view, I suppose you know as well as anybody would. You know better than anyone. She's obviously determined to get this right from what happened back in January from that test match.
Oh, definitely. It was so hard. I think for everybody, Bríd's parents, everybody, when Bríd was at the opposite side of the world and the accident that happened. But thank God she was okay, number one. And as you mentioned, I know Bríd, and the type of determination and grit that she has. And I suppose she just felt it right to go back and just really prove herself for this year. And I know she's thrown herself head first into training. They're going through a really hard, tough bit of training at the moment. I was on to her earlier. And she's really enjoying the experience, and it's fantastic for Cork. I know she couldn't do this without Cork going with her as well, and giving Cork Og such fantastic experience. But I think everybody here, Bríd's parents, especially Mike and Liz, they're really missing her, and obviously Cork's parents as well, Donnie and Margot. But everybody just wants to see the best for her, and as I said, I've no doubt she's going to be phenomenal when she gets going in the games.
Sure will indeed. We'll watch out for her action, of course. Hopefully we'll get some letters from Sydney again later in the season. Let's turn our attentions back to this game. Let's have a look at the replay of the penalty decision and the penalty itself. The decision, it looks to be the right one at the end of the day. Angela? I
think so, yeah. Here's Emer Scully now taking a free, and as you can see, Laura Cleary comes across. I think the girl here is that Aisling. Yeah, Aisling O'Sullivan. She was on her knees when she picked up the ball, so I think that was the reason for the penalty. And actually, she's lying on it there, as you can see. Yeah. It did proceed, and you can clearly see that the umpire is looking at her.
But obviously, for people that don't know the rule, you have to be on your feet to pick up the ball in ladies football.
Exactly. So if you're on your knees, the only option is to hit the ball away from you. So otherwise, you have to be up on your feet to pick up the ball. And
the penalty itself, then, just a classy finish from Emer Scully.
Definitely, yeah. I'd expect no less from her. She's cool, calm and collected. Now, as I said to you, I think Maeve O'Sullivan is a fantastic keeper, but in ladies football, I think keeping it low, it's nearly impossible to stop.
So it is Mourneabbey who kicked on then and got points in that third quarter. Mourneabbey leading the water break 1-1 to a goal, but since then Mourneabbey have tacked on 5 points to Eire Og's 2. And as I mentioned earlier on, we've had a big weekend here on the Irish Examiner, because on Sunday we've a double header for you in the Bonsecure's Premier Senior Football Championship at 1 o'clock. Colm O'Connor will be in the hot seat as Douglas take on Clonakilty. Douglas's first ever final, as Clonakilty will be looking to reach another final. They've got 9 county championships in their back pocket. That throws in at 1 o'clock. We'll be on air from around 20 to 1 here on Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And then the second game, well, what a semi-final we have in the second semi-final as Castlehaven take on St Finbarrs. Remember, 4th of October 2020? Well, what an evening that was on Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And if it's anything close like that, it'll be some feast indeed. That game throwing in at 3 o'clock. All hoping goes well. I'll be bringing you that game alongside Patrick Kelly and John Hayes. A busy season already on the Irish Examiner. So much more to come, including the second semi-final. And let's now have a look at the second half, Angela, because from an Eire Og point of view, I suppose numbers here are going to be crucial. Who are you going to be bringing on to try and finish out this game strongly?
Yeah, I think, definitely, the next 15 minutes for Eire Og are going to be absolutely vital. I think they were just trying to, I suppose, keep the tide at bay there for the last 5-10 minutes. I felt that, the whole lot of them were behind the ball. It was going to be very, very difficult for them to get scores and to create scores because, they had to attack from so deep. But as I said, if they are to challenge Mourneabbey at all now, they have to come out all guns blazing. And as I said, I'm hoping that the likes of Emer Scally, the Clearys, Aisling O'Connor, or Ashley O'Connell, I should say, and Jennifer Gorman will step up a little bit more and have a right crack at Mourneabbey for the second half.
And from Mourneabbey's point of view, I suppose, look, they've got names to be bringing on, and they've got numbers as well. The numbers that are playing football out in the Clyde Rovers / Mourneabbey Ladies Football Club is quite extraordinary at the moment. And
It is absolutely, yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, they recently had a success. I believe in under 16A they just won as well. So they've had and are having loads of success. And as you can see here, they've a full panel listed. And as you mentioned, look, I do believe Mourneabbey are firmly in the driving seat at the moment. They're big names, Breed, Kira, Diran. They're all having big games at the moment. Even they're defensively so tight as well. Emer Meaning is kind of marshalling Emer Scally quite well. And the likes of Ashley O'Sullivan and Catherine Coakley picking up good ball as well as the Eire Og are trying to create scores.
And 2 players to mention, I think. Molly Burke, who's wearing number 20 for Mourneabbey, is only 16 years of age, won an All-Ireland under-14 title with Cork in 2019. And Katie O'Toole, wearing 23, if they do come on, well, she was part of the under-16 captain that won the A County for Mourneabbey 3 weeks ago. So that's the kind of calibre of player we're talking about in Mourneabbey. Yeah,
but you know what? I do think it's important. Like we've seen it in our own club. I think when they're under 16, they are well able to play and compete at adult level, and it really brings on girls. And I think Mourneabbey are great for doing that and blooding young players because I when we won the All Ireland back in 2010, Jessica O'Shea was ferociously young. I think she was only 14 or 15, if I'm not wrong there. I might have to get clarity on that, but I know she was very young, I just think it's vital for a club to allow girls at 16 to experience that and learn from the older and more experienced players in the club.
As we see Eire Og coming out into the field, doesn't look like any changes for the second half, so it's as you were as at half time when called by Peter O'Leary. Both sides looking to try and get a really good start here at the start of this second half. Competition is tight. Mourneabbey looking for their 7th ladies football title in 8 years. And let's see the starting formations, and this time it looks like we're going to be starting 6-on-6 on this occasion. And well, we were just waiting for Aoife Nicavard to come out onto the field. And the all clear is given by referee. Silent official is happy enough, so we're going to be getting this second half underway here under the lights of Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Historic final, the first final in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh. The second half underway, thrown in by Peter O'Leary and Breed O'Sullivan underneath that ball there from Maura O'Callaghan. As Mourneabbey now looking to try and take it on early to the Eire Og defence. Mourneabbey captain Bríd O'Sullivan finding Dirren inside, working across. Maura O'Callaghan outside to Ciara O'Sullivan. Ciara just walking the ball back outside to Anna Ryan. Emma Coakley now in possession inside that 45, and you can hear the instructions underneath us from Shane O'Neill. Keep the ball, keep the ball. And that's exactly what they're doing. Learning from their tutor and the school teacher, the PE teacher, the Cork senior ladies football manager for 2022 is Dirren O'Sullivan, looking to try and take this on. The advantage of coming, it was a foul on Dirren O'Sullivan on that occasion, the pull of the arm there. And it's going to be a free for Mourneabbey.
Yeah, within scoring range now for Dirren as well. And she was being held, you know. I feel Eire Og need to be a little bit more disciplined when it comes to Dirren, especially, you know, she's so strong and she's so hard to deal with. But, you know, they really just have to try and get a hand on the ball rather than on herself.
Dirren O'Sullivan plants it short. Looking to try and walk outside, back outside to Breach once again. An advantage coming. No advantage, says the referee. Now there's going to be a talking to here. Bríd O'Sullivan is being told to stay out of it. And now talking to Aoife Nicavard here. And that looks like to be a final warning from Peter O'Leary.
Another free from more or less the exact same position.
Chance. Maybe just that little tad closer, an easier opportunity, and inventing the slightest of breezes against Mourneabbey in this second half. Dirren O'Sullivan looking for her 5th point of the game, but it's going to curl outside of the post. If you do want to make any comments or contributions, do give us a message on at Examiner Sport. A message in here. And we'll come to that in a moment as Lisa Crowley kicks the ball over towards the far side of the field. Eva Hickey now, Eire Og captain, fighting with her boots on inside there. As Eire Og now looking to try and press forward. The advantage was coming down, has been accrued as Maeve Cahalan now gets in on some possession. Tackled there by Laura Fitzgerald. Heavy challenge by Bríd O'Sullivan. Mistimed, and it's going to be pinned.
No advantage there to Maeve because she was kind of being held, but that was a great kick out by Lisa. She took it nice and fast, and the Eire Og player was, you know, 100% possession. So they need to get forward there now rather than going across the field and try and get a score on the board.
Back outside to Elaine Crowley. Okay, outside to Laura Cleary, playing quite defensive. Walks the ball inside to Maeve Cahalan, playing in a more advanced role in the second half, taking it on. Is that 2 hops, I wonder, as the ball worked in, just lost her composure. And that gave an opportunity for Mourneabbey to try and clear out to Bríd O'Sullivan. Strong in stature, strong in nature, and O'Sullivan working forward. Emer Scally chasing back hard to try and close her off and close the channel well, did Scally. Bríd O'Sullivan plays it back inside to Aisling O'Sullivan, working outside to Ciara O'Sullivan and over towards the far side. One O'Sullivan after another. This time it's Aisling Cronin. Back outside to the aforementioned Ciara O'Sullivan once again. Long ball, direct inside to the full forward line to Laura Fitzgerald as Mourneabbey looking to try and close out this game. Ciara O'Sullivan now walking inside to the de-exclusion zone off the left peg, dragging in the air but dragging left and wide. Mourneabbey's second wide of the half. The message coming from Australia. The message from herself, Breach Stack, watching on here 7:30 in the morning and just heading outdoor to the training. Big second half required from Eire Og though, and the park looking well.
It is. It's looking amazing, in fairness. Mourneabbey now 2 wides just there in quick succession. And Eire Og, I think, will be a little bit disappointed they didn't do a little bit better there with Maeve Cahalan attacking. They're finding it very hard to come out of their own defence, as you can see.
Ball with Jennifer O'Gorman. I haven't mentioned the Eire Og full-back too much in this game so far. 50-50 ball, but Maeve Cahalan doing very, very well. Back inside to Jennifer O'Gorman. O'Gorman playing forward to Laura Cleary and finding space now. Maeve Cahalan. First score in the second half could be crucial depending on what colour the flag might be, as the 1-2 played forward towards Aisling O'Connell. O'Connell flick it forward to a midfield partner. Crossed it back to Laura Cleary. There's a runner inside. Inside there is Isabel Sheehan. Sheehan pops the ball forward once again. There was a free coming though, and well, just couldn't get a hand on it, Shauna Cronin. And there's a foul on Isabel Sheehan. What a run by the Eire Og cornerback, and foul outside the 13-metre line.
Oh my goodness, that was exciting. I thought, if she had just caught that last ball, there might have potentially been a score on. But that's much better play from Eire Og. As you can see, they're running at them. Fantastic. Like, give, go. Like, you can't beat that, As you can see here, it was Isabel Sheehan, yeah. And she was actually fouled by number 14, Dirren. And Aisling O'Connell, could have caught that ball. But you know what? If Eire Og put a point on the board here now, they'll be happy with that.
So just some attention required for Aisling O'Connell. And Peter O'Leary just checking to make sure that she's okay. She's been checked out there by Eire Og medic Louise Sheehan. Donal Cronin is their manager, and being mentors on the line with Donal this evening are Brian Ahern, Conor O'Connell, Dan Cremin and Brendan Mourne. That's from Mourneabbey. Well, the aforementioned Shane Ronayne, the 2022 Cork Ladies football manager, and he's on the line with him. Conor Sullivan, Karen Graham, Ken O'Connell and Aisling Murphy. So a chance now for Emer Scally to step into this one. Works inside the 20-metre line and converts the free and reduces the margin down to 3 points.
Great, yeah, it's down to, I suppose, a one-score game if Eire Og could create the chance. Now, they need to put pressure here on Mourneabbey, I feel, and, definitely potentially try and get the next score in order to set up a good challenge and a battle for the last few minutes.
Waiting 7 minutes for the opening score of the second half. That long ball at the sideline.
That's great pressure. Yeah, great pressure there now. And Eire Og, they're coming into it. And, as we mentioned during the halftime chat there, some of their big players are stepping up and really attacking.
Evading the tackle there was Sive McGoldrick. McGoldrick just ending up the floor, and just referee is going to stop play for a head injury. And rightly so. He's been very consistent on that tonight. There's been a couple of knocks, and just some attention going to be required on Niamh O'Sullivan. Yeah, Niamh O'Sullivan is just needing some attention.
Eire Og, I believe, have possession, so it'll be a free for them, and
indirect.
They won't be indirect, exactly. Yeah.
Referee just talking to McGoldrick just to mind what you're doing, as we see her breaking inside here, just evading the tackle. And look, it looks like the elbow, the arm carrying the ball in that time, just catching off Niamh O'Sullivan on the side of the head. And well, caution is obviously the right thing in any sport, and Peter O'Leary doing the right thing here, as Emer Scally now going to be taken.
For runners.
Well, she doesn't have too many runners inside. She's looking to try and avert back outside as Emer Meany encroaches the 10 yards. Long ball inside, dangerous that was. They're getting a hand inside there while Anna Ryan play it outside to Catherine Coakley, and a chance for their captain Bríd O'Sullivan to try and break forward.
That was a good idea there now, that could have paid dividends, I suppose. But unfortunately for Aoife Nicovard, she was being double marked there. Mourneabbey clicked on quite quickly as to what Emer Scally was up to.
Bríd O'Sullivan, well, she's after being fouled here once again in the middle of the field. Advantage being played by our official. Great advantage being played as Darren O'Sullivan though works that ball, squirts it outside, and a chance for Mourneabbey under pressure. And the referee just fouled him because a trip, well, might be accidental.
Sheeny, I thought that was a bit harsh now. I thought that they did dispossess her as she was going through. I'd like to see a little replay of that.
Well, it won't be just a little replay. We're going to get a glimpse of that in a moment. Niamh O'Sullivan, who's been in the wars in the second half, as this replay comes up. Darren O'Sullivan passing the ball outside to Niamh O'Sullivan.
Yeah, as you can see here, Isabel Sheehan did get her hand on the ball, and it was accidental, yeah, definitely. And it was the momentum there of Niamh O'Sullivan that carried her onto the ground. So it's going to be a free to Mourneabbey. And
change of free taker here, as Ellie Jack is going to be stepping into this one right in front of our official. Well struck, and a great score from Ellie Jack.
My goodness, she is a talent, in fairness to her. She's a great kick on the left leg, and for a young girl to step up in a county final and put over a score like that, fair play to her.
Some confusion on the line here as the referee, well, Shane Ronayne was slow to bring in the player, but now she's coming in. looked like she was standing in the cold, but Ciara O'Callaghan's coming in for Aisling Cronin, wearing number 18. Good shift put in by the Mourneabbey corner forward, Aisling Cronin. Kick out going to be taken here by Lisa Crowley as Mourneabbey extend the lead back out to 4 points. What kind of character can Mourneabbey or Eire Og show here? There was an advantage not accruing over on that far side of the field, so it's going to be a free over on that far side. Peter O'Leary just marking where the free shall be taken from. Goes short to Maeve Cahalan.
Oh, goodness, I hate that. Going back, you know, she should be really looking forward to putting the ball forward, because as you can see here now, Ciara O'Sullivan is just dangerous and she's after dispossessing. I'm not sure what number.
Maeve Cahalan.
Oh, Maeve Cahalan.
A chance here now for Ciara O'Sullivan inside the de-exclusion zone. There's runners left and right, goes off the left peg, and that is brilliant from Ciara O'Sullivan.
Absolutely brilliant by Ciara, and that's exactly like, you know, the type of character she is. She will punish when she overturns a ball like that, and Eire Og, you know, they can't be making such mistakes, because as we mentioned, like the calibre of player that Ciara O'Sullivan is, you know, they've just been punished by her.
Lead out to 8 points, 1-8 to 1-3. As Lisa Crowley kicking that ball out over towards the far side of the field. And again, Mourneabbey coming away with possession through Emer Harrington. Ball worked inside. Laura Fitzgerald, well, she was getting the full of it there from Jen O'Gorman, who knocked it out of her possession. And a chance now for Eire Og to try and clear out through Sive McGoldrick. Isabel Sheehan now working in just outside the 45-metre line, looking to try and find runners. Here is Laura Cleary. Big run made by Shauna Cronin. Elaine Crowley now in possession. Bring up to the 45. There's a runner outside. That's Aisling O'Connell, and she's been absolutely cleaned out of it off the ball as Elaine Crowley. And the referee is going to stop the watch here, because there's going to be some trouble. This
potentially could be a card now for Aisling O'Sullivan. Now I do think, you know, she was just a little bit unfortunate. She was the run, but you know, it was after the ball, so she was
10 minutes in the bin for Aisling O'Sullivan.
As you can see here now in the replay, Elaine Crowley is coming on. She can see that Aisling is running off her shoulder, and she continues her run. Yeah, so she does definitely check her.
Body checker, yeah.
It definitely, yeah. No need.
Peter O'Leary, our official, again, once right on the money once again.
This is maybe a bit far out now for Emer. The wind is actually behind her, so she potentially could go for it.
So the 10 minutes just going to start now, as Emer Scally going to be stepping into this. Looking to reduce the margin down to 4 points. Well struck from the Cork star.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic score. I was wondering, was a little bit outside her range, but as I said, she had the wind at her back, and an extremely skillful player. Down to 4 points now, and as we know, Mourneabbey are now down to 14 players for the next 10.
So the graphic on the top left of your screen will keep a note of the yellow card in the bin. Great initiative by our team back at base. And the examiner, as there's a foul over on that far side of the field on Ellie Jack, who's got 2 points to her name over on that far side.
And in fairness, Claude O'Connor is
as well.
Oh yeah, she wasn't very happy now about that, but she definitely did foul young Ellie Jack as she was trying to dispossess her, you know.
Free taken quickly inside in towards Ciara O'Sullivan. Outside that 45-metre line, found time and space, but the Eire Og defender, Sive McGoldrick, was brave and got her name in the act. Maeve Cahalan has been dispossessed, and that's a...
So Maeve had the advantage, but then she subsequently fouled. Is that Darren, is it?
Yeah.
After...
like a bit of a rugby tackle. No, he was playing an advantage, was our official.
She had the advantage, you know. But actually, she soloed right into the tackle there, and in a way, I felt that Peter...
Well, referee is going to check with Colin McTaggart. Let's have a look at the replay.
Darren did absolutely nothing wrong there now.
The foul, there was an advantage from the earlier free.
Yeah.
And I wonder now, was Maeve Cahalan... Well, she's being warned here. And the referee is turned the free.
Yeah. and rightly so.
So, after an advantage coming, Maeve Cahalan fouling Darren O'Sullivan, turned the foul around, and that's a foul there in the middle of the field. A great defence win there from Elaine Crowley's point of view.
That was fantastic by Elaine Crowley, in fairness. And Peter had the hand up, and she again subsequently touched the ball on the ground, so she got her advantage. Actually, he called it back for that.
Emer Scally taking the free from in the centre of the field to offload to Shauna Cronin. Eire Og with the extra player on the field. Scally finds a runner inside. Working up ball, looks like Aoife Nicavard plays it to McGoldrick. McGoldrick with a major charge though on the Mourneabbey defender, and had to be a free out.
Yeah, she had nowhere to go really as she was running through there. And it was absolutely a free out for a charge with the shoulder.
As Bríd O'Sullivan brings possession to the centre of the field. And working it inside towards Roisin O'Sullivan now. Great run here from Ellie Jack from the half-back line, finding space, offloading to Darren O'Sullivan. 5 points to the name of the big player in the field. And 4 points, I should say, as the ball's walked out over towards that far side of the field now. Mourneabbey taking their time, working into chances, and that's a high tackle on Darren O'Sullivan. And a basic free to give away. And another talking to here. This time it's going to be spoken to is Aoife Rogers. So Rogers now.
Ellie Jack looks like she's stepping up to take it, I think.
Rogers now is getting a stern warning here from our official. I'm not following the notes of the fouls. But obviously a number of fouls depends on how you get on. Talking here. Well, Ciara O'Sullivan and Sive McGoldrick were being called over to our official. Now they're being told to step away. As Ellie Jack steps in. Well, she struck a beautiful score from a very similar position only moments ago. As we start the 47th minute of the second half. And the referee is going for the white. Well, the umpire goes for the flag.
Yeah. And
the referee calls the water break.
And again, actually, just like the water break in the first half, Mourneabbey have just got that final score before the referee has called the water break. And they'll be very happy with that 5 point cushion now going into the final 15. And
they win that quarter 3 points to 2 as well, which is extending that lead, just pushing it back another point.
That's it, yeah. Now I thought Eire Og had patches there, and they're definitely, when they're running at Mourneabbey, they're causing them difficulty. But, they definitely need to get a little bit closer. 5 points, I suppose Mourneabbey are still quite comfortable.
Sure are. Points, and I suppose those 2 frees from Ellie Jack, probably the 2 scores of that third quarter coming in the way of the 38th and the 48th minute. Ciara O'Sullivan splitting the opportunities from Mourneabbey's point of view. But now Eire Og need to try and take advantage of that yellow card to Aisling O'Sullivan and need to try and pounce it, and probably, I suppose, the score they need really now is the goal. And they did have an opportunity, a half opportunity, but they need to create another half opportunity to try and get in again.
They do, and as I said, when they're running at them, I feel they are causing them a little bit of bother. I think Sive McGoldrick there was a little bit unlucky. she kind of just ran into a brick wall, and unfortunately there was nobody kind of running off her shoulder. So I think they just need to empty the tank now. They need a huge 15 minutes if they are to try and get on top of Mourneabbey. You can see here Eire Og are warming up 2 subs. I believe 22 and 21.
Yeah, so Orla Cahalan, another one of the sisters, and Ruth Murphy is coming in. Looks like Aoife Rogers is going to be pulled. Well, obviously she's on her final warning as well from her referee. Just trying to see who the second substitution is. So just bear with us for a moment as we look underneath us. Peter O'Leary is going to be starting the clock and the sound of the whistle. And away we go for this final quarter of the Cork Senior Ladies Football Championship. Ball down long, which failed to be kept out. Substitutions are now Ruth Murphy is being replaced by, Aoife Rogers is being replaced by Ruth Murphy, I should say. That's one substitution confirmed. We'd follow the action for the moment as Darren O'Sullivan and Ellie Jack involved in the action early in this final quarter. To Coakley and back outside to Darren O'Sullivan. Back outside. Second Eire Og substitution is Orla Cahalan is replacing Claude O'Connor. As Mourneabbey now just happy to wind down the clock. Not just the match clock, well, the sin bin clock as well, as you can see in the top left of your graphic. Back outside to Ellie Jack. Oh, lucky from Ellie Jack.
Yeah,
but if you're looking at any player tonight, Ellie Jack is one you'd be bringing forward to the Cork team, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's really showing up here, and she's a beautiful strike and kick off her left leg. I think Eire Og have removed both Aoife Rogers and Cliona O'Connor, as they were both recently ticked actually by our referee Peter O'Leary. So I suppose they're erring on the side of caution, as they don't want to end up going down to 14 players for the final stretch of this match.
Yeah, and looking to go for the juggler as well here now, because they're much more attacking in this second half. And great tackle there by Maura O'Callaghan. Brilliant tackle on Cy McGoldrick. Expert tackle. If you ever want to teach a child or a young player how to tackle properly, executed to perfection there by Maura O'Callaghan, as Ciara O'Sullivan trying to fend off Maeve Cahalan. Now the referee plays an advantage. She just stands there. And the referee says a pull of the jersey. Donald Cronin not happy with that decision on the
crowd aren't happy with that anyway. Side McGoldrick, she's making surging runs, and unfortunately, they're not making good use of them. I believe Peter now is after bringing this forward for the scent.
So Darren O'Sullivan now, well, she's hesitating about taking the free, and she's thinking about going backwards, but eventually she sees Laura Fitzgerald making a long run forward. Pops the ball inside to Bríd O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan 1-on-1, plays it outside to Laura Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald converts the score. The goal opportunity was on there, but since the sin bin, Mourneabbey have been in complete control.
They have absolutely been in the driving seat. And like Eire Og, I feel, again, just lack of discipline there. I mean, Mourneabbey brought the ball forward 10 metres, and Laura Fitzgerald, they weren't expecting her to run for the ball and create a fantastic scoring opportunity.
Kick out this side, and Mourneabbey 14 players have come out on top here once again, and there's numbers flooding forward as Bríd O'Sullivan pops it off to Ciara O'Sullivan, walking inside the exclusion zone. Ciara works it back outside off the left peg, going to land high into the hands of Lisa Crowley. Safe pair of hands for the Eire Og keeper. And we've got around 2.25 minutes maybe left in the sin bin clock, as there's a foul, an accidental triple legs there over on that far side. So it's going to be a free out for Eire Og. 6 points in it now. And since that water break, it's been 2 points to 1, which includes the free off the sin bin. As Maeve Cahalan now works her way forward, beating off Bríd O'Sullivan. And Emer Scally taken out of it off the ball once again, this time by Emer Meany. Play continues on. Now the referee is going to stop the play, and there's a second foul. Referee says just a crossing of legs on that occasion. Meany, well, one thought she might have been in trouble, but it'd be interesting to see the replay at the back of this free in a moment.
It would, and Scally was definitely trying to break away. Maeve made a great run there. As you can see, it was a trip of the legs. Yeah, it was accidental, absolutely. And just unlucky, I suppose, because like Scally is dangerous, and like if she got the ball at all, you'd be saying she might have only one thing on her mind.
Scally looking to try and tack on another score. She's got all the points so far for Eire Og, all 1-4, and you can make that I was going to say another one. It's not. It's gone right and wide.
That was close now, and that was probably an important point, but look, she just has to get on with it now, and they have to try and get another score from somewhere.
So kick out from Maeve O'Sullivan. Not too many options, as Eire Og with the extra player on the field. An advantage coming here once again. Referee allowing the advantage continue on. No advantage though, and it's going to be a free. A shot taken there by Laura Cleary on that occasion, but there's a 20-yard free going to be taken here. That
was a great bit of hard work there by Laura Cleary. You could see her determination in trying to win the ball, the Mourneabbey kick out, and it's not often we see Mourneabbey struggling for options on their kick-outs. So fair play to her, and surely now hopefully Emer Scally might pop this over for Eire Og.
I'm just looking to see, is the 15th player back on the field? might be. And let's follow the play. Scally takes that free, and the free converted on this occasion.
Yeah, again, in this, Eire Og have really pushed Mourneabbey forward. Now I'm looking down, and there's only 6 players on the Mourneabbey side here of the ball. And again, Callahan now has won a great kick out, and they're working their way down the field.
She is, and Mourneabbey are now back to 15 off the back of that free kick. And back to level pegging as they flood forward once again. Breed O'Sullivan though, from the near side of the field down towards Emma Coakley. Here's Darren O'Sullivan walking it outside up towards Niamh O'Sullivan under pressure. Offloads it back inside to Darren O'Sullivan. 15 on 15 once again for the last final stages of this ladies football senior A final, brought to you live on the Irish Examiner once again as Laura Fitzgerald evades beautifully that tackle. Pops the ball risky outside to Darren O'Sullivan, who fought hard for possession. Chance walking away inside here. Ciara O'Sullivan, Eire Og player, being pinned for a pull of the arm as she broke through.
Yeah, I feel Eire Og now, they just want to watch their discipline because the frees that they're giving away are quite soft in a way. Mourneabbey are first patient. They'll wait. They'll keep possession of the ball, as you said earlier, Shane. Still roaring, keep the ball. So Darren has a chance here. I'm not sure she's going to have a shot. She's not.
She plays a high ball, which is risky enough outside to Emer Harrington, who got away with it. On towards Ciara O'Sullivan, who just pokes the ball down low. Breed O'Sullivan captaining the side for 2021 outside to Ciara O'Sullivan. Sullivan's the heartbeat of this Mourneabbey team for so long, and now the younger players starting to come to fruition, the likes of Anna Ryan and Ellie Jack, who have been influential from the wing back positions in this game. Niamh O'Sullivan though is bringing Maura O'Callaghan as Mourneabbey trying to draw out the Eire Og defence and finding space forward, and the one-on-one between Darren O'Sullivan and Sheehan. Well, O'Sullivan's getting the better of the exchanges in that battle tonight so far. Darren O'Sullivan, well, she hasn't got too many options. The one option she does have, I should say, plays a forward to Ciara O'Callaghan, walked inside to Laura Fitzgerald. Good burst of speed to beat Eva Hickey. And the umpire, he's going to the post. He's going to the right hand side and wide up.
Yeah, white ball again. Mourneabbey are being very patient. Keeping possession, holding on to it, either looking for the free or waiting for the shot to pop up. And I suppose Laura Fitzgerald there, the angle she was at was quite tight. But here we see now Eire Og attacking, and they really need to get down the field. They're finding it very hard again to get out.
Side McGoldrick now just popping the ball short to Maeve Cahalane. Cahalane just pops that ball over the top to that far side of the field. Well, which way is this game going to finish? It's in the melting pot very much as Ruth Murphy plays a beautiful ball to that far side, and Orla Cahalane looking to try and take on the defender, beats Coakley to the punch. Cahalane with the shot, with good save straight at Maeve O'Sullivan, but that is a bit more exciting there
that
from
is,
the Cahalanes.
Absolutely, and that little girl, the Cahalanes, Orla Cahalane, she did so well there to turn, and unfortunately just hit it straight at Maeve. Maeve is a very, very good keeper.
Here's the replay from the 45.
Yeah, great ball in there. I think Catherine Coakley wasn't really expecting the turn of pace of Orla Cahalane. She did so well to get in, but it was really, really tight angle and just, I suppose, the wrong height for a goal to be scored.
Scally takes this 45, who just plants it short in towards the centre, and a foul on Aisling O'Sullivan, which gives a breathing space of an opportunity for Mourneabbey to try and break out as Emma Coakley now plays that ball over towards the far side of the field, and the Eire Og player holding up the Mourneabbey player, but there's an advantage coming for a Mourneabbey point of view. Good tackle there. Play on, says our referee. And the referee is pinning McCleary for lying on the ball and not getting up.
There's a bit of ashes there now, yeah. I think they're getting a bit frustrated as Emma Cleary was on the ground again, and she touched the ball in order for Mourneabbey to get the free, even though it was actually such a good interception. She was actually after dispossessing her just previous to that.
Playing the side the Eire Og 45 metre line. Mourneabbey just winding down the clock now. We're nearly at 2.5 minutes left of regulation time as Darren O'Sullivan walks that ball outside to Breed O'Sullivan. You can hear Donald Cronin, come on, let's push on. But now the hole starts to open up as Bríd O'Sullivan, she got away maybe a call of steps when pops the ball outside to Darren O'Sullivan. Evades the first tackle, there's an advantage coming. Play continues on, walks the ball outside to Emma Coakley. And the referee saying, come on, the advantage isn't gone, let's bring it back.
Bríd O'Sullivan has really come into the game, I think, in the last, in the second half in particular.
Substitutions from Eire Og's point of view. Bríd Feeney coming in for Aoife Nicavard.
Nicavard, the sister of Dervla Nicavard, of course, the international rugby player. So she did Trojan work, in fairness to her, and you can't fault her. She left everything out there.
And then Rebecca Sheehan coming on, replacing Jennifer O'Gorman. Two girls have put in big shifts here once again this evening. So chance now for Darren O'Sullivan. Take your time over this free from about 26 or 27 metres out. Stepping up into this one, just off the top of the crossbar, and that could seal it. Now there's 6 points in the lead, are the former champions.
Yeah, I think as we've been mentioning, I think Mourneabbey are very comfortable. That was a great score by Darren. Lisa Crowley, just to mention, she is a fantastic keeper, and I suppose if it was a fraction lower, she possibly could have got her hand to it. But as we mentioned, now Mourneabbey are 6 in the lead. However, Eire Og are attacking here, so hopefully there might be something on the other end.
They're dying with their boots on, and Ashley O'Connell making her way forward. Those runners left and right, popped it outside to Orla Cahalan. She's been closely marshalled there by Catherine Coakley. There's an advantage, which is accrued by our official. Ball working outside, and big tussle in the middle of the field. Bríd Feeney was in the action for a second. Here is Emer Scally looking to try and turn on a sixpence, 30 yards out. That could be the score of the game, albeit so late. That's a brilliant score from Emer Scally.
Absolutely brilliant. Oh my goodness. She's so comfortable on the ball, tossing, turning, twisting. You can see it here in the replay. She is just absolutely great kick of the ball and totally split the posts. Great score.
Substitution from Mourneabbey's point of view, and Laura Fitzgerald, well, she's after putting in another big shift and getting the plaudits as she comes off the field.
Absolutely, and actually she looks like she's limping. Actually, I think she's in a bit of bother there with her knee. So Deirdre Cronin, as you mentioned, is after replacing her for the final few minutes. And
it's Cronin who won that kick out. Played it back to Ciara O'Sullivan, and there's runners inside now, and the Eire Og defence are at 6s and 7s here as Anna Ryan breaks forward, pops the ball inside in towards Bríd O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan might go for a goal herself. O'Sullivan took the shot and outside of the boot, going left and wide.
Oh goodness, that was a great opportunity for Mourneabbey to really put the seal in it and the nail in the coffin. Great work by Anna Ryan, fantastic young player.
3 minutes of additional time going to be awarded here by our official as Anna Ryan back in possession once again, and Mourneabbey, well, they're on their way to a 7th county in 8 years. A West Cork side which featured 11 clubs last year, which found out by the Ladies Gaelic Football Association to be illegal. No divisional or no amalgamated club team allowed more than 3 players. There's a super blocking there by one of the Eire Og defenders. That's a super block there by Isabel Sheehan.
Shauna Cronin, the midfielder, yeah. Fantastic block. And Eire Og now have the momentum and they're going down the field with Emer Scally.
Scally breaking forward outside the 65 metre line, looking to go left and right, looking to try and find players in space. He's Bríd Feeney, works it on over towards the far side of the field.
They need to go forward now.
They are going forward, and Aoife, well, it's not Aoife Nicavard, that's Ruth Murphy, who's come on as a substitution a moment ago, but now the Mourneabbey house, the defensive house, has walked back and they're closing out the score there that was possible moments ago, and there's a hand in there and Mourneabbey have won it back.
Yeah, Catherine Coakley, like she's a really tough defender, and I felt Eire Og, they slowed down their chances with all their passes.
Mourneabbey breaking forward, and Ellie Jack, I should say, who's got 3 points to her name in this final. She's been fouled inside there. She's having an impressive performance.
Absolutely fantastic, impressive performance. Yeah. Really, I must commend, I think, Mourneabbey's work rate, every one of them, and Eire Og, of course, as well. They've really given it their all out here tonight.
Here is Bríd O'Sullivan now. Okay, over towards that far side of the field as the Mourneabbey girls know that they're day in the sunlight, back in again under the lights here on Páirc Uí Chaoimh, in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh, the first ladies football final here in the new stadium. As Ciara O'Sullivan, well, much of the headlines was about the Mourneabbey star during the week. Was she going to play? She'd have to have a big influence in the game, as there's a long ball inside here from Coakley going towards the square, but dealt with brilliantly by Lisa Crowley. And that gives Eire Og an opportunity maybe to try and clear her lines for one more phase of play as Maeve Cahalane now breaks into action. Ball walked forward to Laura Cleary. Hasn't scored in this game, but has been decent in patches as Cahalane gets a hand on the action. Ball walked outside to Orla Cahalane. Back inside to Laura Cleary. Maeve Cahalane inside to Breda Feeney. Possession all the while with Eire Og attacking the city end in injury time. Ruth Murphy under pressure. Long fisted pass across the 45 over towards Emma Cleary, walking into space. Inside in space is Aisling O'Connell. She's moving forward with possession. Ball walking, still going inside the parallelogram. Oh, what a tackle! What a tackle inside there.
Wow.
Goes out for a 45. Brilliant from Aisling O'Sullivan.
Aisling O'Sullivan, that was a brilliant tackle, absolutely. Because Aisling O'Connell only had one thing on her mind, as you can see. Yeah, number 2 got her hands on the ball, and Aisling O'Connell did spill the ball there to go out for a 45.
Great precision tackle, getting the ball right at the right moment, and it's gone on for a 45 over on the far side of the field, and a chance now. Well, time is running out. We're over 4 minutes gone in injury time, and there can't be too much more time to add on, one would think, as the ball squirts in towards the edge of the square. Orla Cahalane with a shot.
Oh
and
dear.
Orla Cahalane with the wide ball.
Orla Cahalane looks dangerous anytime she's on the ball, you know, and that was a little bit unfortunate. Now she possibly should have done a little bit better.
As the referee is looking at these two watches in the centre of the field. Ball's kicked out and it's all over, and Mourneabbey have regained the county championship for the 7th time in 8 years. Jubilatory scenes on the knee as Shane Ronayne is mightily relieved after that victory. 111 to 1-6, and a full-time analysis this evening coming from former Cork Jewel star Angela Walsh.
That was an impressive display by Mourneabbey, you know. Eire Og, to give them credit, did put it up to them. They challenged them hard. They just never gave up. But Mourneabbey were, from the very off, I think, in the driving seat, and a much-deserved victory here tonight in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
And of course, this year now, Mourneabbey back into a Munster Championship once again. Mourneabbey just a better side really on the night, converting those chances that little bit better. I suppose Orla Cahalane with 2 chances towards the end of the game.
I'm very impressed with her, actually. You know, she's very young as well. But maybe, you know, Eire Og could have brought her on a little bit sooner. She definitely was dangerous, you know, the 2 chances that she had, and unfortunate that she didn't score either of them. But there's definitely potential there for that young Orla Cahalane.
And I think there's other players you could also pick out. The likes of Ellie Jack, who got 3 points in the game, has been quite impressive. Laura Fitzgerald, okay, it looks like she's been carrying an injury, but done very, very well.
I agree, yeah. And Anna Ryan also, I'd just like to mention, because I again, she looks like a very young girl there from Mourneabbey. And, you know, on the Eire Og side then, I felt like Aoife Nicovar just left everything out there. In fairness to her, Emer Scally, you know, really just tried her absolute best. She found it very difficult to get on the ball, I think, because I suppose it's the tight marking of Emer Meany and, you know, the calibre of the Mourneabbey defence. But overall, I think Mourneabbey deserving winners here tonight.
From Eire Og's point of view, though, their first final, you know, I know it's hard when you're playing a team like Mourneabbey who've been there for years. They've got real wealth of experience from being in an All-Ireland semi-finals and finals, but they can take so much out of, you know, playing a county final. And it's not just a county final, you're playing in Páirc Uí Chaoimh where not too many players you get to play a county final in.
Absolutely, and you know, there's no shame in that score either. Like, I mean, you know, to lose to Mourneabbey, a team that have just been, you know, to the forefront of ladies football really for the last number of years, you know, there's absolutely no shame in that score. And as you said, they will be disappointed, but there's so much to be learned from it. And you know what, like, what an experience for them. I mean, the pitch down there is just amazing, like, and it's always something that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives.
So Mourneabbey back in the limelight once again. 7 county in 8 seasons. A real heroic performance, and especially during the time it had been. 4 points to 1, as we see Emer Harrington seems to have picked up a knock towards the end of that game. 4 points to 1 win in that 10-minute sin bin period. Like, Eire Og needed to capitalise on the extra player.
I agree, yeah. Like, I mean, I suppose when Mourneabbey went down to 14, sometimes I suppose it gives a team that extra drive, doesn't it? And I think that's what happened Mourneabbey. You know, really, it was a time that Eire Og should have been more dominant. But that just goes to show the type of champions I think that Mourneabbey are. They just, you know, it didn't look like that they were down a player at all. You know, they drove on, and to give them credit to where credit is due.
And I suppose it's the players that play with Cork, the experienced players, and this isn't taking it away from Eire Og, but you've got the likes of players of the stature of Emer Meany, Mauro Callaghan, Niamh O'Sullivan, Darren O'Sullivan, Bríd O'Sullivan, Laura Fitzgerald. You know, when you can depend on players like that to bring you forward.
Absolutely. And look, like, I mean, Shane is a fantastic coach. He has them drilled to a T. They know exactly what to do, and I think they're so used to playing with each other as well. You know, it is, I mean, they're a force, like, in fairness, and they're going to be quite hard to stop, I think. And, you know, they're all quite young as well. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, the Cork players were, you know, but again, to give Eire Og credit, like, their girls tried to stand up as well, and they did. So, you know, it makes things very interesting, I think, for Cork senior ladies football going forward, and hopefully they'll all come together for that duty for next year.
So, Bríd O'Sullivan is going to be stepping forward to join the presentation for the Cork ladies football senior A county final is going to be made, and let's join the presentation.
On behalf of the ladies board, I would like to thank the country for the use of their excellent facilities here this evening. I would also like to thank the referee and his officials for doing an excellent job, and I would also like to thank all the students that are around here this evening. It's very much appreciated. There's 3 people I'd like to give a special word of thanks for this evening, and that's Marion Crowley, Ashley Mulcahy and Kim O'Connell, who did Trojan work in organising this year this evening. I would like to congratulate both teams in the excellent game of football, and I think Eire Og showed tonight that they are not too far away from winning the county. I would also like to congratulate Mourneabbey on an excellent game, and after a little bit of a blip last year, they're back again as teams of Cork ladies football. I would like to give a special word of thanks to Donald Cronin, Ryan Ahern, Conor O'Connell, Dan Freeman, Brendan Moore, and Barbara McElbar and Louise Sheehan for looking after the Eire Og team. And a special word of thanks to Shane Mooney, Conor Sullivan, Karen Graham, Keane O'Connell, Ashley Murphy, and Laura Hartman for looking after the Mourneabbey game. And I'd like to congratulate Mourneabbey in winning the county for the 7th time, and I wish him the best of luck and lots of charity. I'll now hand over to Rachel.
As Bríd O'Sullivan picks up the trophy for the 7th time in 8 years on behalf of Mourneabbey. And let's hear what the Mourneabbey captain has to say.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the friends who've been here in Mulcahy for having the pitch in such good condition tonight. It's an absolute honour for us to play in Mulcahy, and such an excellent experience for both us and for Eire Og. So thanks very much to Mulcahy for organising for me to be played here, and for the members of the Cork LGA for making it happen as well. I'd like to thank all of our supporters and all our friends and family for coming out here tonight and for supporting us this year and for the last couple of years. You never let us down on the big day or on any day, so thanks very much. To our sponsors, Bar Outworks and to the Courthouse, thanks for your support over the last couple of years and this year to continue as well. Thanks. win to Mourneabbey so much, man. Thanks a million. Karen Graham, another member of our background staff, who's got involved over the last few years and has given Trojan work to private juveniles over the last few years as well, and hasn't gone unnoticed, so thanks very much, Karen. And the newest member of our management staff this year is Ken O'Connell, who has been the chairperson of the club for the last few years, and he called himself the most successful chairperson in the history of the club. Just so that I let you know that, but he's now a member of our background staff, so thanks to him, Ken. Our other background staff, Laura Harrington, our physio, thanks a million for all your work over the last few years, and especially in the last few weeks getting us ready for tonight. And finally, Shane O'Neill, who came involved with us in 2014, and that's always been the turning point for this team. He's kept coming back for more year in, year out. Sometimes I think he asks himself why, but he's stuck with us through some hard times over the years, and mentally he's been with us for the good times as well. Thanks a million, Shane. And finally to the Eire Og team, really tough game out there tonight. You really put it up to us, and we knew that it was going to be a tough game against Sheen. You know, you've been coming for the last years, and you're a really talented bunch of players there, and so stick together, and I'm sure we'll come across you at some stage over the next few years again. And nearly forgot Peter, the referee, and all his officials. Never easy to recommend finally when there's so much at stake, but I think did an excellent job tonight, so thanks, Peter. And finally, some players here in front of me. Loads of players here who have been involved for the last 8 years. Loads of really young players who came out tonight and showed what they're made of. So everything looking good for the future for them as well. So thanks a million to Eve for all your hard work and dedication as well. And finally, 3 cheers for Eire Og. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip.
Well, Mr. Dina from Winton and Mona will be taking home the cup this evening after a 1-11-2 1-5 victory. Príomh O'Sullivan acknowledging the efforts of referees and his officials, and also the Eire Og team, who might have been beaten on the night, but they left their hearts and they're left dying with their boots on the field.
Absolutely, they did. And you know what? They can be very proud of themselves for such a great game of football. And as you said, you know, they never gave up right until the end, you know. And as I said, you know, they're so privileged to be part of this historic night here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, where the first ever ladies football final is on. So it's, you know, it is an honour for them to be part of it as well.
So just reflecting back on the championship, I suppose it's as you were without the 2020 championship. Mourneabbey back to the top of the tree in Cork ladies football once again.
Yes, yeah, and you know, I suppose I kind of expected it. You know, I think last year they possibly weren't. You know, maybe they were definitely a little bit disappointed after getting beaten by West Cork. So I felt that tonight they just had a point to prove, and that they were going to come out all guns blazing and you know, deserving champions.
And they're back into the Munster Championship, which will take place in 2 weeks' time. The fixture details will be released over the weekend, and we'll have that covered for you on the Irish Examiner. I suppose to wrap it up, Angela, Mourneabbey just had better on the night. Eire Og there, but as from a ladies football point of view in Cork, the club championship, where are we at? Is there teams that can close the gap on Mourneabbey?
Yeah, it certainly will be tough. Like, I mean, there are plenty of teams in Cork, and there's always great competition in Cork. But definitely for the last number of years, 7-8 years, Mourneabbey have been, as you mentioned, at the top of the table. And I suppose the great Eamon Ryan used to always say to us, when you're at the top, there's only one way to go. So I'm sure, you know, that other clubs will have their day in the future, and you know, like Eire Og can take positives from tonight. You know, they have some very good passages of play, some very positive things from their performance as well. And unfortunately, you know, the scoreboard just favoured Mourneabbey on the night.
Sure did indeed. Look, Angela, thanks very much for
Thanks,
joining
Patrick.
us.
Thank you.
And best luck to you in the final tomorrow in the Senior B.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And best luck to both Introvers and St. Val's. Well, a historic night here on the Irish Examiner as we've brought you the first Senior A Football Championship final in the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And it's a bit of like as you were, as Mourneabbey have come out on top here once again, defeating Eire Og 111 to 1-5, and they advance to the Munster Championship, representing Cork. Darren O'Sullivan score in chief with 5 points tonight. But do stay tuned to coverage of the Irish Examiner over the weekend. irishexaminer.com/sport. We'll have all the action for you tomorrow on the papers, and then on Sunday we've got a double header of action as we bring you 2 games live on Sunday from 20 to 1. It's the Bon Secours Premier Senior Football Championship as Douglas take on Clonakilty at 1 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock a tasty affair of St. Finbarrs and Castlehaven. I hope you could join us on Sunday for that, but from all of us here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, it's a very good evening.